This is Dr. Meenakshi, Associate Professor in Biani Group of Colleges, and today I will discuss the very famous doha of Kabir Das ji. That famous doha of Kabir Das ji that stated actually Jaat na pucho santan ki nirguna. That was translated by the famous poet of India, Rabindranath Tagore. And today we are going to talk about that translation of Rabindranath Tagore, which actually describes the thought procedure of Kabir Das ji. So before moving ahead, let's talk about Kabir Das ji. As we all very well know that Kabir Das ji was a famous saint and prophet who had actually accepted all humans, all religions without making any discrimination. He had been in a very painful situation when he realized that people, they discriminate on the basis of such small notions which we call as caste, color or creed. So because of that pain, he has composed many famous dohas just to give an enlightenment to those ignorant minds who are actually not able to understand this foolishness of theirs. So basically we know that there are so many tales about the background of Kabir Das ji. Some say he belongs to a Muslim family, some say he belongs to a Hindu family, some say he actually was born in a Hindu family but left out, and finally he was found by a Muslim man and he finally adopted him. And during that time when Kabir Das ji left for heavenly abode, there was a dispute among Hindus and Muslims over his cremation rites. Muslims wanted to have the cremation rites, the Hindus, they wanted to have the cremation rites. So what happened, his body was converted into flowers, it transformed, it changed into flowers, and finally Muslims and Hindus, they divided the flowers in two parts and took each part for them. Muslims, they cremated those leftovers in the form of flowers of Kabir Das ji in their own rituals, in their own ways, and Hindus similarly, they cremated the leftover in the form of flowers of Kabir Das ji in their own traditional way. So finally, what actually is this representing is our society is entangled with this very narrow thought of discrimination, casteism basically. I remember in ancient time this caste system was formulated just to make a distinction on the basis of work, not on the basis of birth, but men, for their own convenience, they carry forward the thing and promoted it as a kind of a distinction which is on the basis of birth. But when this kind of an idea was formulated earlier, there was no that sort of a thought or not that sort of an intention where we are going to find the distinction on the basis of birth. Basically the people, the men who were good in warriorships were ranked or categorized in Kshatriya community. Kshatriya basically, they were categorized as Kshatriya. Those men who were good at religious sermons and religious proceedings, they were categorized as Brahmins. Those who were good at trade and commerce, they were categorized as, for the specific terminology for them was, I mean, we had Kshatriya, we had this Brahmins, we have those people who believe in, who actually deal good in commerce and trade. Then we have finally those who were not having that developed or good intellect to accomplish such the three above skills. So they formally they were the one who were needed for the cleaning and maintenance of the society and the social structure. So this was the way the distinction was made. So that was just on the basis of work. But later on, for their own convenience, men started this distinction on the basis of birth. A child who is born in a Kshatriya, who is born in the family where the father is Kshatriya, is supposed to belong to the Kshatriya family. So no matter that child is having that skill of courage and bravery in him or not, it doesn't make any difference for those people. So that is actually a wrong thought or belief. Basically, Kabir Das ji has tried to present that kind of an narrow thinking which actually is residing with the people, and he is trying to enlighten them with the help of his beautiful emphatic words in a very lucid manner, in a very simple language. The whole idea, the whole concept has been given, and this has been translated, as I mentioned in the beginning, by Rabindranath Tagore in English. Let's have a look of the poem first. It is needless to ask a saint the caste to which he belongs, for the priest, the warrior, the tradesman, and all the 36 castes alike are seeking for God. It is but fully to ask what the caste of a saint may be. The barber has sought God, the washerwoman and the carpenter, even Raidas was a seeker after God. The Rishi Swapacha was a tanner by caste. Hindus and Muslims alike have achieved that end where remains no mark of distinction. So in very brief manner and in a very precise way, Kabir Das ji has just tried to put forward that it is needless to ask a saint the caste to which he belongs. That means it is not at all required to ask a saint to which caste he belongs or she belongs, because the saint who actually is expressing his views, his real heart with you pertaining to God, has no limitation, no foundation of any specific caste. So it is totally unnecessary, it is totally not worthy of asking that specific saint who has risen above the humanly or the worldly affairs and has tried to achieve the prime where he can actually reunite his soul with God and he can explore out the beautiful spiritual values. So it is totally unnecessary to ask a saint to which caste that specifically he belongs. For the priest, the warrior, the tradesman, and all the 36 castes alike are seeking for God. Now here what he is saying, the poet is saying, for the priest, the purpose of the priest or the final attainment that we believe we have in life is to attain salvation, to somehow reunite our soul with God. So finally, the purpose or the intention of the priest is to find God or to seek God. Similarly, warrior who actually performs his duties and all other people who performs their duty, they are somehow directly or indirectly seeking the God. That means as such in our mythologies it has been said that our karmas or our actions, they are actually the pathway which leads us to salvation, and ultimately that salvation is how our soul it unites with God. So here the warrior, the tradesman who actually is trading, who is doing all the economic and financial dealings, and all the 36 castes, that here it has been mentioned 36 castes, that shows that our society is having all the combination of 36 castes. They all are somehow directed towards seeking the God. They all are intended, their whole and soul purpose, their ultimate goal of life is to attain salvation, is to attain their unity of their soul with God. It is but fully to ask what the caste of a saint may be. So therefore it is a kind of a folly, that means foolishness on the part of that person who is asking a saint to which caste that specific person belongs. If everybody on this earth ultimately has to lead to a specific end, then what kind of distinction we are trying to make? Because we all are going to be at the same end. We all are sailing on the same boat which is directing towards the final destination, and that destination is attainment of salvation, seeking the God, actually uniting our soul with the God. The barber has sought God, the washerwoman and the carpenter, that means the barber, the washerwoman and the carpenter, the people who are having distinction in their skills and calibers, they all are actually trying to find out the ultimate goal of life, that is salvation, that is reaching to the God. No matter what kind of a skill they have, the barber, the washerwoman who actually washes away all the dirt from the clothes is also intended towards the salvation. The barber who actually helps you to get relief of all the unnecessary burden that you are having, right, on your head. So somehow both barber and washerwoman, they help us to get rid of the dirt or unnecessary things that we carry with ourselves in over our body. So basically they are also intended to have that salvation as the ultimate goal of their life, although they are not doing it directly, but somehow they are performing it. Somehow they are acting towards the same path. Their karma, their action is leading them towards the same path. And so as the carpenter who is preparing, who is giving new shapes to different things and different different structures are made with the help of the carpenter. So basically it means, what is the purpose of putting reference of all these people? It means that no matter what kind of skill they possess, they are totally different and unique individuals. No matter what kind of skill they possess or what kind of services they are providing, no matter how rich they are or how poor they are, but their ultimate goal of life is to attain salvation, to somehow make their soul so pure, so enriched that it can ultimately meet with God. Even Raidas was a seeker after the God. The Raidas, which we also know by the name of Ravidas, he is also a seeker of God. Now why they have stated? Because according to the all tales and stories, he belongs to a very low caste or a very low community, and the distinction was, again I said, it was made on the basis of that caste discrimination. He was also a seeker of God, and because of his devotion and dedication for God, for the Almighty, he has been worshipped by many people, because he has risen above these scales of discrimination, these petty affairs of this world. He has risen above the worldly affairs and he has totally devoted himself in the service of God. So he was also from a low caste, but still he had the caliber, he had the quality, and most importantly his soul was so pure that ultimately he was able to reunite his soul with God. The Rishi Swapacha was a tanner by caste. Here again the poet is mentioning some examples from the past history and trying to portray that no matter to how people discriminate you on the basis of your birth, on the basis of your caste, but your best achievement or your best quality is that your heart, your soul is very pure and it is almost prepared to meet with the God. It is prepared to reunite with God. That means your action, your purity of soul is far, far more important than your birth, in which family you have born. So Rishi Swapacha, he was basically a tanner. Tanner means one who actually works with leather, right? So he was a tanner by caste, but still he had that devotion, he had that feeling of surrender for God that made him actually a devotee of Almighty. His dedication and devotion ultimately made him to attain salvation. Hindus and Muslims alike have achieved that end where remains no mark of distinction. Although we have bifurcated our society on the basis of Hindus and Muslims and other castes, but ultimately we all people and and all religions, they are directing us towards the same end. Although we all are sailing in different boats to reach the destination, the fact is that the destination is the same that we wanted to attain, that is salvation, finally making our soul so eligible, so pure that it can be reunited with the God. No matter in which boat we are sailing, that means no matter in which way we are trying to follow to make our soul pure, to attain salvation, either we are Hindu or Muslim, it doesn't make any difference. We are achieving the same end. Our end is same. where remains no mark of distinction, and that destination is such a place where no such kind of discrimination is made and people are not categorized on the basis of caste, color or creed, but on the basis of their devotion, their dedication, their feelings for God. So basically through this poem, the poet Kabir Das ji, he has tried to enlighten those ignorant mind who had actually blocked their thoughts and made such kind of discriminations. And if we say that we are living in a nation, we are living in a society, by these thoughts we are basically corrupting such society, we are corrupting such nation. So basically he has just tried to portray the scenario, the short-sightedness of people who actually believe in discriminations, and also has stated in a very beautiful way that whatever kind of discrimination you made, ultimately we all people have to reach at the same end, we will be reaching at the same point, and at that place, at that point, there will be no distinction between people on the basis of their caste, color or creed. No matter in which family you are born, but if you have a pure heart, you have a ultimate thought about salvation, then you are actually devoted or you are eligible for that specific place. So this is all about this beautiful doha that Kabir ji has composed and Rabindranath Tagore has translated in English, so that we can and anybody on this earth around the globe can have an understanding of this beautiful doha, which was actually composed by Kabir Das ji in Hindi language, but finally because of Rabindranath Tagore we are able to understand, and the other people around the globe, they are able to understand what he actually wanted to convey. So on this note, I will end up my lesson, but there is a message with this lesson that we should never be on that scale where we are categorizing people on the basis of caste, color or creed. We have to understand that we all people belong to the same place, and ultimately we all have to reach to the same place. By this thought, we can make our society beautiful and ultimately this planet a very beautiful and a very effective place to live. Thank you, and I hope you have been clear with the concepts. Thank you and have a nice day.